Also, you have limited total addressable market, right? Why is JJ University so hard to get followers these days? Right? Because there are just so many product managers and founders out of all of you guys. So I have a very limited total addressable market. I have to think about what is the next division for me to pivot to. Why does OpenAI have to acquire Statsig? There are some reasons for it, right? One of the reasons is this is also a signal telling us that OpenAI already crossed the chasm and they have enough users to do a lot of A/B testing. What is the second reason? Because Statsig is also supplying all the other AI major labs. Then OpenAI have the visibility of all the experiments that they do. It's a fight back, right? And then, although the stock increased from American Eagle, their sales dropped. And their sales especially dropped compared with Gap, right? So when you do a controversial ad, you kind of also expect the others don't fight back. Because the company who fight back, no matter how good their product is or how bad their product is, they're gonna on the higher morality in the public. So they're gonna benefit monetarily more. Because VCs want ROI. They do not want the same thing as you do. You probably want 1 million users, right? Is 1 million users enough for the VCs to have a good ROI? Definitely not. So the VCs want different things. They want you to build the next $1 billion company. They want different things as you. You probably want just a stable revenue stream for you to quit your current job, right? So what you want and what the VCs want might not be the same. It is not related to your traction or your value proposition. So having a positive revenue or having a valid business has nothing to do with whether you have VC funding. So Tesla kind of find this niche. So Porsche or BMW are gonna pay for our marketing campaign. Then today we're gonna talk about growth. And specifically, there is a very popular word these days called product-led growth. We will briefly also touch on marketing and advertisement as well. But today we will mainly talk about when you do growth for your startup or you're a growth product manager doing growth at a big company. What are the common issues that you face? Why is growth so popular these days that like a lot of companies want to hire growth product managers? And they want to do product-led growth? And also, what is the skill set or what are the common problems that you will face in your daily life? So last time we talked about this. As a growth product manager, for example, the problem is increased premium sign-up. The type of thinking process you will have is what are the funnels? What are the conversions, right? Why is the conversion high or low? Is there a member need that we didn't satisfy to further improve the conversion? If you think about your job is like this, then your job is pretty easy, right? So why is it hard? There are multiple phases, a user's perspective of a product. First, you want your potential user to be aware of your product, right? And then you kind of sell them on the value proposition, and they think that your product can solve their problem. That's when you acquire the user. And then after you acquire the user, you want the user to activate and be very active on the platform, right? And then it comes to the retention, whether they retain on your product. And then you want to monetize from these users, right? It's just like the users who are a LinkedIn free member versus who are LinkedIn premium member, right? Then you generate revenue from these users. And lately, you want to spread out by word of mouth. So you want the users to do referral for you. This is a very, very rough funnel, by the way. So for different companies, it might be different. So for example, I just use LinkedIn as an example saying, oh, you probably heard of LinkedIn, you probably become a user, you probably created your profile, you probably stay here for a week or two, and then you sign up for premium and you refer others, right? When I work at Tesla, the funnel might be shorter, right? Because it is literally like you buy a car. So you probably heard about Tesla and you give us your contact information, right? You're interested. So for some of the marketing funnels, there is a interest between awareness and acquisition. So you leave your contact information to this company and the company will follow up with you to see whether you want a test drive. And that's what Tesla pre-sales are doing, right? The marketing team or the social team is doing list generation, and then the pre-sale follow up to see whether they want a test drive. And after test drive, we are moving forward to sell them a car, right? If they don't have a buying intent right now, we probably will follow up later to see whether they want to buy a car. But that is pretty much the funnel. After they buy a car, we finger crossed they don't return the car, right? And want a refund. And maybe they want to refer to others as well, right? So this is the funnel for Tesla. So for a different company, it might be different. But in general, you want to build the brand awareness first, right? That's what we call brand marketing. And for brand marketing, last time we talked about ads as well. For brand marketing, they want impressions. More accurately, they want reach, right? Reach is a metric defined the number of humans you reach. Impressions is one human being can have multiple impressions, right? So if you use impression divided by reach, that is frequency. That is the number of times that person see your ad. So for brand marketing, usually you want to target reach. You want these people to know about your brand. You want these people to know that you exist, right? And for brand marketing, there are multiple ways to measure the effectiveness of your brand marketing. Probably when you watch YouTube video, there comes to a survey asking, let's think about a coffee brand. Have you heard of the following coffee brand? Maybe one is Starbucks, one is Blue Bottle, right? And you take all the brands that you heard of. That is a survey to validate the effectiveness of their brand marketing campaigns that we call brand lift campaign. So like you give the user survey to see how much did your brand marketing campaign lift your brand awareness. But it is not only defined by that, right? Reach is the number of reach is also a measurement of how effective your brand marketing campaign is. Another one, the third one, is attention. You have brand marketing campaign from Starbucks, from Blue Bottle, from all the other brands, right? Which one got the most attention from you? And we will talk about ads and getting people's attention later, but attention is very important. And then after brand marketing, you have lead generation. You leave your lead to the companies or the product that you're interested in. And user acquisition, user activation, user retention, purchase, and referral. So how do companies do growth? There are two types of growth. One is general growth, and the other one is segmental growth. For general growth, they mainly just think about, oh, how can I improve the funnel? Like in general, right? I'm targeting global. How do I target people who are interested in my product? Also in general, right? So the problem that I'm mainly thinking about is what is the value proposition that my product already provide to users, and how can I get access to those users? The second one is segmental growth. For example, LinkedIn targeting students, right? LinkedIn targeting blue-collar workers, LinkedIn targeting India or Brazil market, right? The segmental growth people have a different way of doing growth. In that segment, they might have a pretty good reason why they're not using your product today, right? So you want to understand what is their pain point that you haven't solved yet. For example, researcher and academia is also a problem on LinkedIn. They have their account, they have their profile on LinkedIn, but they're not active, right? Why is the question that you want to figure out if you are targeting them. What are the products that you're using, and what are their pain points, and what are their needs that LinkedIn hasn't satisfied? And two ways to drive growth: improving the funnel, leverage your user empathy, your strong data sense, right? You look at the conversion, you know whether the conversion has some problem or not. And then you go back to the user empathy and see why the conversion is so low, right? Or you improve the top of funnel through business development and marketing. Doing growth is also highly depends on your partnership and your paid marketing. You need to also have an understanding of how these two functions perform. And if you're in a startup or like early stage company, you pretty much need to do all of the work as well. And how companies do subscription is acquisition and retention. So acquisition is very similar to the growth mindset. You improve the funnel where you provide discount and callback. For retention, you build new and better value. These are the stuff that we or the whole like universe know about, right? But why is it so hard for people to do growth? There are a lot of reasons. For external reason, first of all, you're never gonna get 100% conversion rate unless you remove one step. So removing step has always been a problem for people who are doing growth. And how do you remove step? We will talk about that later. You will always have trade-off when you remove steps too, right? For example, let's use LinkedIn onboarding as an example. We could remove all the steps of you creating your profile and expect you to create a profile later. But is that good for the ecosystem, right? When we don't have any information about you as a user, what is the feed that we are gonna show to you? When you look at the feed quality, are you gonna still stay on premium the next week, stay on LinkedIn the next week, right? There always come to trade-off if you try to remove steps. And also, you have a lot of competitors, and you have direct competitors, and you also have indirect competitors, right? We talk about the concept of direct and indirect competitors previously, but all of you guys are trying to get attention from users. From users, they only have 24 hours every day, right? So if your competitors get more attention from them, get more time from them, you're getting less. The third problem is you always play with the rules defined by big platforms or distributors. If you're sending email, you're playing rules with Gmail, with Apple email, right? Because you don't know if one day Gmail pop up a notification to users saying, do you want to unsub LinkedIn email, right? Or you don't know whether one day out of blue that Gmail put your email from primary to social. Then it is very hard for you to target the same conversion rate. You also don't know, maybe one day Gmail put you into spam. That is even worse, right? So you have to play the rules of the big platforms. This is especially true not only on email, but also on SEO. SEO is a very notorious field that you have to play with Google's rules because they are the monopoly on Google search and they change their algorithm all the time. And if you're working on SEO, you better have formal partnership with Google people. So when they do any update, you are the first group of people to know. And that is the same thing on App Store optimization. What is the ranking of your app on their App Store, right? On Apple App Store, on Google Play, all of those ranking, you play with those people's rules. It is the same thing if you're doing content and you have to play with the content platform's algorithm, right? What type of content can go viral on these platforms is also something that you want to play with. So when you're doing growth, you're always playing with rules defined by other big platforms or distributors. What do you mean by what do I mean by distributors, right? Today, Costco might have a rule for you that your margin cannot be over a certain percentage, right? You sell at your cost is $10. You cannot sell $90 on Costco. This is also the rule defined by your distributor. The same thing happened for Walmart. They define a certain margin for you, and you cannot surpass that margin. That is how they can make sure that they create the most value for their customers and they maintain their monopoly on being a distributor, right? So you have to play with other people's rules. And the fourth one, you have very limited resources for business development. How companies do their partnership or development is usually either you can have your resources, right? You have your brand recognition, you have your popularity among your users, or you use money. You pay for your partners. But if you like companies always have limited resources to actually use money to develop partnership. So that is also one of the factors that make growth so difficult. For paid advertisement, a lot of startups today, specifically, they think that they can get new users from paid ads. And a lot of startups do a lot of paid ads on Instagram, on LinkedIn. You can see those AI startups ads all the time. A problem with paid ads is whether the ROI is high enough, right? You have an ROI of industry standard, of industry benchmark. And usually when startups pay for paid ads, their ROI or their LTV is relatively short. Also, you have limited total addressable market, right? Why is JJ Never Sleeps so hard to get followers these days? Right? Because there are just so many product managers and founders out of all of you guys. So I have a very limited total addressable market. I have to think about what is the next division for me to pivot to, right? And then it comes to value proposition is not strong enough. Early adopters should be dying to use your product. For today's product demo, if you present your demo to all of us, and we were already like, oh my God, please send your link to us when your product is completed, then we are dying to use your product. You have a good value proposition. We are early adopters, right? But people out there, your target users out there might not be dying to use your product. How do you know that you have a product market fit? There's a very old way of knowing your product market fit. Usually, you can get if you're a consumer product, you probably can get 1,000 users in your first week. If you're an enterprise product, you probably can get 10 customers, like big customers, in the first month. So this is a rough way to tell you whether you have product market fit. It varies case by case. In business, as a business person, the thing that you say the most is it depends. So it always depends. But this is a rough way for you to understand whether you have product market fit. And also, you have low quality leads. You might have a group of like friends and relatives trying out your product, right? But do they really need your product? They probably don't. You probably leave surveys or leave your contact to a lot of people that you met on a conference because you want enterprise leads. But are they high quality leads? They probably just give you a contact because you asked for it, right? And they don't want to reject you face to face. So you might have a lot of low quality leads that it is so hard for you to convert. And also, lastly, users cannot or hard to make buying decisions. This happened to companies like Ling.ai, right? Because they're targeting kids, but kids do not have money. The buying power is not at the kids' side. The buying decision is made by their parents. So you probably target the users that cannot make buying decisions for them, right? And that's why B2B ads is so difficult because most of the people are end users. And if you tell me to make a buying decision for LinkedIn to buy AWS instead of Actor, then I have to go through really good effort to persuade my leadership, right? So it's not really easy for you to convert through a lead like me. So users cannot work hard to make buying decisions is also one of the external factors that make it so hard.
I was wondering about the ROI for paid ads. So, did you know some like example of startup or a company, yeah, startup having paid ads and like benefit a lot from it?
It's very rare. Do you know why? Because when you do paid ads, you pay your money to those ads platforms like LinkedIn, Google, and Facebook. And these companies do not care about your attention, your retention. That's the core problem of why you are gonna have a lower ROI than the big companies. The big companies are my strategic partners. So if you pay me, let's say 100K per year, I have Google paying me 10 million per year, right? So if there is an audience, if there is a target customer that I could show a Google ad or your ad, and you guys have similar click-through rate, who should I prioritize? So the core problem is the AI platform side, it's not your targeting side. Yes, it is saying all VC monies into early stage startups end up with Meta. It is a very true reality today. And although we might have controversial opinions about Elon, that is also why Elon never used paid ads, because most of his companies back then are early stage too. What are the internal reasons that make this process so difficult? First, alignment, alignment, alignment. Okay. If you are a mid-sized company or a big company, growth team has a notorious reputation of you have to make alignment with other people because usually you don't really own product. This is just the nature of growth team because growth team, the company expect you to move fast. So you don't own product. If you own product, you own tech debt too. You don't want to own tech debt. That's why if you want to move fast, you have to not own product and then give all the pressure to your product manager or whoever have the product idea to make alignment with other teams, right? And another reason, this is a little bit context, why growth team usually don't own product. You also need a countermeasure of your growth. For example, if I fully own LinkedIn onboarding and I only have one metric to improve daily active user or user acquisition, then I could just add a bunch of fake bots into LinkedIn, right? Because that add up to my number of users too. I don't have countermetrics from trust and safety to tell me that you can't do so. Because my OKR and my salary, my compensation is purely measured by the daily active user that I drive, right? So I don't care. So that's also one of the reasons why growth teams do not own product, because you want another team to make sure that you still have product principle and not only making money or doing user growth. And another reason internally why is it hard is usually no matter the company is big or small, it is usually lack of data for decision making. You can always not have enough data for you to say that, yes, this feature is going to drive 1% of daily active user. You always need to make assumptions. And as long as you make assumptions, you depends a lot on your own experience, your own data sense, and your hypothesis. So a good growth person is also very experience based. You always do not have enough data to make the decision. And also, your execution speed could always be faster because you already don't own the products and your leadership expect you to deliver more and more and more and more. Because they think if you can ship this product in 1 week, they're gonna reach out to you tomorrow saying, I think you can do it in 2 days. So your progress can always be faster and faster. Also, because we talk about competitors in the external factors, right? It is always hard to track all the history and competitors' experiments. There could be so much synergy if you, as a growth person, can know what everybody is doing and your competitors are doing. It is like a game theory, guys. If your competitor do something, you want to fight back. But it is very hard for you to track everything. You have to really use your time or your team's time to keep track of everything. Even your company's own history data is also very hard to track if your company has been there for a long time, right? So that's why this is a good timing for us to mention the latest acquisition between OpenAI and Statsig, right? Why does OpenAI have to acquire Statsig? There are some reasons for it, right? One of the reasons is this is also a signal telling us that OpenAI already crossed the chasm and they have enough users to do a lot of A/B testing, right? So for big companies, usually like for Google, Meta, or LinkedIn, we have internally built A/B testing platform. For mid-sized company, they usually use third parties like Statsig. Okay. For people who look at me being confused, Statsig is this platform that you can do A/B testing on users. And they have a lot of graphs to tell you the performance of your experiments. That's why their company's name is called Statsig. Statsig is statistically significant. That's how you can understand that the metrics that you get from A/B testing is trustworthy. That's one of the reasons why they acquire Statsig, right? They want to basically for the convenience of themselves, and they can do more customization to how Statsig is as a product. And
Um,
yes,
oh, I have a question. So, uh, I'm still confused about the lack of data for decision making. So, like as a senior product manager, could you like ask for the data team to build a dashboard for you, about the
what do you
metrics
mean
you
as a senior product manager? It doesn't matter with my title, girl. It's not about my title.
or
They,
as a product managers, like we ask them to build a dashboard for us about the metrics we care about.
Mm, not that because you have dashboard, you have a lot of dashboards. But you can always divide and conquer to have more detailed data, right? That's one. For example, let's say you're looking confused. Let me give you an example. The sign up process for LinkedIn Premium, right? You saw an upsell on LinkedIn, right? We have your upsell impression, and then we have your upsell click, and then we maybe bump you into a survey, and you have your option, your choice for each like options, like for each question, and then you end up in the chooser website, telling you all the plans that we recommend to you, and then you choose a plan and do the payment details, and then subscribe premium, right? This is the whole flow of premium subscription. You could have impressions and clicks and conversion of each steps. That is early data for that is easy data for you, right? But
Yeah.
let's say right now you want to figure out is it the first question that people are like, what are they confused about, right? Or it is the second question that they feel confused about. You do have conversion, but on top of that, you probably want to see how long do people stay on that page, right? You also want to see whether when they make their decision on that question, did they change their answer? Right? So I could have more signal to tell me whether they feel confused about certain options. Or is it because of something happened on that page? Let's say some copy make them confused. It's not about option, it's about some copy. They probably just stay on the page for a long time and think. But do you know whether they stay on the page to think or they go somewhere else because their attention got distracted? All of those need new data. And sometimes it is not even your platform's data that you actually need.
If we want to get the data you mentioned, like the detailed data, it's actually like illegal, right?
Illegal, or let's say like you want to see whether people change options when they answer that question, right? That's all LinkedIn platform. But do you really want to do it? Because you want to build tracking too. You want to build dashboard on top of it. All of this time spent is investment from you too. Why don't you just do A/B testing if that is easier to do? If you have a hypothesis. So for a product, as a product manager, you always need to make trade-off because either way, you are gonna cost some human labor from your team.
Got it.
So it is not the more detailed your analysis is, the better. Sometimes doing an A/B testing is easier.
I have a question, but it's a slight tangent, and I hinted at it in the chat. Do you know why OpenAI just acquired
Oh, yes. I haven't talked about
Open-
my second reason yet. So the first reason is you can do customization, you can own the platform, you want to do more experiments, right? You want it to be a part of your product. Great. What is the second reason? Because Statsig is also supplying all the other AI major labs. Then OpenAI have the visibility of all the experiments that they do.
Wait, can't that be hidden like with contracts or whatever? Like, hey, this can remain private, XYZ.
You own that data. As it's the same thing as a LinkedIn employee. I cannot check your profile like detailed data because that is PII. But LinkedIn as a company own that data.
Interesting.
So we're not gonna leak your data. If me as an employee, LinkedIn employee leak, like say some like for example, what profiles do you visit in the past 2 weeks, right? You're being private, I leak that information to the public, I will get fired. But LinkedIn as a company own that data. So can we do analysis on that data? Sure. It is not, it is aggregated, right? So can we do something else with that data? Of course, we own that data.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. That's fair.
If LinkedIn has a A/B testing platform that is used by all the, let's say, competitors of LinkedIn, who are they? Let's just say we have an amazing A/B testing platform that is used by Meta, right? Then as LinkedIn, we literally can develop a bot to do whatever Meta's experiment on LinkedIn if it is relatable. Then we can see whether if it is a successful experiment on Meta, whether it will be successful on LinkedIn too. The same thing, for example, we used to have a very funny joke among me and my coworkers. So there is an experiment that we did on LinkedIn. So for example, if you're a free user, previously, when you want to message someone or email someone, there is a little lock on that button. And now the lock is gone, right? It is still an upsell, but the lock is gone. So you click on that button, we're still gonna pop you up of upsell and ask you to subscribe premium to send an email. But we just changed the UI to remove the lock. Why? Because if there is a lock on it, people are not gonna click on it, right? By removing the lock, we have more sign up. And then we saw Hinge still have that lock. Who is gonna tell Hinge? Nobody, right? But if Hinge keep an eye on what LinkedIn does, they probably want to remove that lock on adding a filter on people's height.
But if I am a Anthropic and Statsig is acquired by OpenAI,
Usually when things like this happen, Anthropic has to change their supplier. It is like when Meta acquiring Scale AI, most of Scale AI's customers are gone. And that's why
Nice.
a lot of AI startups today are trying to build another Scale AI.
So it's an opportunity to build another scale AI, right?
Yes, it's also an opportunity to build another Statsig right now. Building an experiment platform is also an experience-based thing. You know how Statsig as a company started? Because all of these companies have internal A/B testing tool, right? And specifically, Meta does the most A/B testing in this world because they have bigger products and they have more users. So their internal A/B testing platform is extremely easy to use. LinkedIn, on the other side, we're not as helpful as the Meta platform. So we hire a bunch of people working on the platform at Meta to work at the platform at LinkedIn, right? But initially there are a bunch of people, but like Meta's platform is not open to other people. But like they only use it in-house. And some of the people from Meta A/B testing platform went out and started Statsig. So then we talk about hard to track all history and competitors' experiments, right? And then we have biased user interviews. This one, I think we briefly talked about it last week. Most of the user interviews are very biased. You kind of still have directional questions, no matter how hard you try to remove them. I'm conducting user interviews these days with the kind of people that I asked you guys to help me connect with, aspiring lawyers or lawyers. And I still probably like from now and then have directional questions because I cannot help myself when I try to answer that, try to understand that problem. And lastly, growth people could be loved by some people, but definitely not all of them. You don't own those products, okay? You don't own those products, meaning that you are always creating tech debt on other people's product. And now it comes to a question whether growth people need to, yes, everyone hates growth PMs, whether growth people want to share credits with other teams. It doesn't matter. Whether you share credits or not, that's your project. And leadership is still going to remember it is the growth team that drives so much revenue or daily active user. And always, as a product manager, people will tell you that you need to improve your storytelling skill set. Why? Because that depends on how your career path is going to go at a company. But growth product managers or growth team never need to care about that because we just throw metrics. If the metrics is huge, we got promoted. So we don't need any storytelling skill set. It's relatively easy to get visibilities for a growth team. Companies are trying to mitigate that. So you can't be like only people in growth team are getting promoted faster, right? So impact is only one of the criteria for your promotion. That's one out of a lot of methods how companies trying to mitigate that and make people feel fair. No matter what scope they're working on, they will have a fair chance. But with that being said, people hate growth people. And people do not think that growth people are trustworthy because you always just want numbers. But growth people trust growth people, by the way. Growth people trust the other growth people based on the impact. If you are a very impactful growth person, I would follow you and be impactful too. So they have this brotherhood and they want to build projects together. Then what should we do, right? There are so many difficulties out there to be a growth product manager or to grow your product. What should we do? For external, first of all, I bet you guys heard about the word hacking growth. Okay. Hacking growth's bar is getting lower and lower. What is the hacking growth bar? Originally, you can get the user's location, like Yogesh project. Okay. Nowadays, you can get their IP address, and IP address say way more than your location. Hacking growth is endless road. You can always trick the user to give you some kind of information. Have any of you guys ever read the terms of agreement of any app? No. That is the heaven of us growth product managers. If you want to get permission from some users, you just put it in the terms of agreement. So the users do not need to read them through, but still give you access of some terms, right? The only way to stop growth product managers or the only way to create a principle for hacking growth is regulation. And that's why EU is super advanced in that. You have to ask the user's permission to do things. The users have to understand what data and how the data is shared, how the company is using that data, and you cannot share data across businesses, right? So all these type of regulations are from EU to try to protect the user's right. And without regulations like this, the growth product manager are going to make the bar really low. You can never guess how the technology is capable of these days. The second one of keep track of your competitors, we just talked about it. Improve your negotiation power with big platforms, supplier powers. This go back to the forces, Porter's forces analysis, right? How do you improve your supply power? If you are having a lot of users, right? If you are sending a lot of emails, let's say, why does Google, let's say Gmail or SEO, have to tell their major partners of their changes, right? Because maybe they also keep track of how, out of all the time that people spend on Gmail, how much of those times are people clicking into LinkedIn's email, right? If LinkedIn's email are not getting enough notice, then probably Gmail as an app is not getting noticed too, right? There is a possibility. Or they could say that on the SEO side as well, they realize that LinkedIn profile is a major traffic where people search, where people land on, and where people get information, right? And now if you make some changes on your algorithm, you probably want to tell LinkedIn too. So they can make relevant changes on their profile index. So this goes back to the forces and what we talk about supplier power. So just be stronger is what I'm trying to say, right? Have more users and be stronger as a product. And be creative on partnerships. Find non-monetary advantages. This one is a very interesting story I could share with you guys about me doing marketing at Tesla. All of you guys know that Elon doesn't like paid marketing. Why do we have a marketing team, right? Because usually what marketing team does is paid marketing. So we do partnerships. We generate leads without any budget. How are we going to do that? We do that through collaborating with content creators. Do content creators not need money for partnership? They do. For a lot of affiliate programs, right? It is known for content creators getting a share of your sales or leads generation. Or sometimes they act like an ass, right? So they do not need to give you any leads generation. They will just charge for the awareness. But why didn't Tesla pay for the content creators? One, we don't have money. So do it or not, right? Second is also understand your brand recognition. Your brand is your power. What are the target users for Tesla back then, right? Tesla back then didn't even have a full established charging system in China. So people who buy Tesla cars are people who are very well educated. They have been studying abroad, mainly in the United States, and their family have a lot of money. They don't even need to care whether you build a charging station or not. They could buy a Tesla because they admire the technology. They want to have an electric car and they want to contribute to the future sustainability. That's what these families care about. And also because of the design between Tesla and Porsche, we have a running joke inside Tesla saying all the people who buy Tesla in China, while we still do not have a charging station, already have a Porsche in their house already. So they're not buying a car. They just want to collect a car. Okay. So this is our target user. So what we tell the content creators are, we're not going to pay you. At most, we're going to lend you a car for like several hours for you to take pictures or something. But just be confident because you, from your previous content, what we sense is you're a lifestyle content creator and you're trying to get into a luxury market. You're not going to get there without Tesla. That is the image that we're trying to do. After you do a campaign for Tesla, the next deal that you are going to talk about is Ferrari. The next deal that you are going to do is BMW. The next deal you're going to do is Porsche, right? Because Tesla is the stepping stone for you to enter the luxury market. Then do we collaborate with the content creator who are already very popular in the luxury market? No, right? Because they do not have any reason to collaborate with us. But we collaborate with the content creators who want to jump a level in the like price of the products that they represent. So Tesla kind of find this niche. So Porsche or BMW are gonna pay for our marketing campaign. We also talk about do not do paid ads for early stage startups. Do organic. What do you mean by organic? There are several ways of doing organic. Partnering with content creators for free is an organic way of doing that as well. Doing this through word of mouth is another one, right? I never do paid ads for my channel, but my channel spread out because people want to land jobs. That is word of mouth. Or you do content yourself. Okay, that is also organic. And that is what most of the AI startup founders today in the United States do. And two things matter in marketing. One is channel, one is message. Channel is you want to think about whether your target users are already there. If you're targeting, let's say, white collar workers, you come to LinkedIn, right? If you want to target company customers, you come to LinkedIn. If you want to target independent women, right, who want to have their own career, you go to Rednote. These are just the typical stereotypes of where these people are on different apps. This is the channel that you choose, right? When I was in Los Angeles, I was in a Lyft, and there was some of the Lyft today have a little iPad on the back for their customers. And when I got into that car, there was LinkedIn Marketing Solutions ad displaying on that iPad. Right? Why is that ad targeting me? Because most of the people in Los Angeles, either you have a car or not, right? And for the distance that I'm ordering the Lyft, and for the fact that Lyft probably know that most of my Lyft were in San Francisco, I'm more likely on a business trip in Los Angeles, right? So that profile is telling Lyft that I could be somewhat a decision maker of my company, whether we buy LinkedIn ads. And that's why they target LinkedIn ads to me, to tell me that I could use LinkedIn marketing solutions. The bad thing though is Lyft doesn't know that I work for LinkedIn. So I shouldn't see that ad. But that's how you know how they select channels. Apart from channel, you also care about your messaging, right? You improve your awareness by building good reputation. Who knows the recent drama between Gap and American Eagle? American Eagle has this ad with who is that actress? Sydney, what's her last name?
Sydney
Sydney
Sweeney.
Sweeney.
Yes.
Locked in,
And
JJ, locked in.
this is also how you know that I'm not Sydney's target followers. So there are like copy in the campaign saying like, Hamza, can you repeat the copy?
Oh,
Better
like
than
I have
yours,
good
like
genes
something
thing.
better than yours.
Yeah.
Better than them.
Like genes are passed down like by your like parents and like they're your offsprings, and genes defined features like your hair color and your eye color. My genes are blue and my genes are like better than others. And this is like white supremacy, right? And most of the white people do not know that this is white supremacy because they think that Sydney is just saying that she is fucking hot. And that's why the campaign itself is insensitive, right? Because as a company, you do not create those campaigns to be insensitive to people with other colors. Because yes, you could say that Sydney is hot, but other people will see it differently, right? That is insensitive in their campaign. But that also tells you what? First, is this campaign effective? It could be, right? Because by becoming a controversial topic, you at least became a topic.
I think their stock like rocketed after this.
Yes, because they finally come into people's attention. Because previously, can you remember the last time American Eagle has an ad? You don't even remember because all the previous ads are not topic. This is one of their solutions. They make a controversial ad. But this also tells you how bad or how desperate that company is. Because if you are a trustworthy company, you don't do controversial ads like this, right? So there are always a lot of solutions for a company to be the topic. Being racist and controversial is a solution of it, right? And then, of course, you never thought about there's another company called Gap, right? And they shoot another ad with a K-pop group called Statsig. And this group has a lot of, seeing colors and cultural diversity. It's a fight back, right? And then, although the stock increased from American Eagle, their sales drop. And their sales especially dropped compared with Gap, right? So when you do a controversial ad, you kind of also expect the others don't fight back. Because the company who fight back, no matter how good their product is or how bad their product is, they're gonna on a higher morality in the public. So they're gonna benefit monetarily more.
And also, like Gap actually hire someone to make a choreography for that ad. So like the group are actually dancing for that one and showing the jeans in a way that shows like kind of dynamic and use and everything compared to Sydney's like like a pornography video, like not really like an ad. So like I think the contrast make people feel like the that represents a culture of like Western people who ride horses, and that's what like originally jeans are, and that's like sports related. And the choreography was like very kind of repetitive and in a way that will go viral on TikTok. And I think that was like going so viral on TikTok. A lot of people try to imitate that choreography. And the song was also kind of very viral.
Let's take one step back, right? If Gap doesn't exist, then we could say that any traffic is good traffic. How you use it really matters, right? So let's say instead of using Travis Kills as a substitute and remove all Sydney's ads in American Eagle stores, they create another campaign, kind of saying sorry, apology, and also fight back the Gap. Probably the results will be different, right? You have a lot of ways to deal with your PR, and this is a loss from American Eagle for sure. Another example of how you use the traffic matters is the astronomer, right? Who knows about this company and the drama? So I think this is 2025 is such a good year for the PR and marketing tea, guys. There are so many good ads out there, and they're fighting with each other. So enjoy the ads. And Astronomer is their CEO and head of HR, has a affair and got caught up by the Coldplay Kiss camera.
I
And
was actually in that concert in Boston.
oh, you was also in that? You were also in that?
Yeah. So like everyone was like already so heated up after like they suddenly hide themselves, but at first people were just like entertained, and Martin said, either you guys have a fear or something like that. And we were both like laughing, and I didn't expect like when I went home, this video just got viral and everyone knows who they are.
Yeah, you should shoot a TikTok video for this, and you can be formally become a TikToker after this. Yeah, so this is the drama. And have any of you guys seen how Astronomer replied?
Yeah, they hired so basically Chris Martin's ex-wife.
And everyone was praising this is such a good PR, and like they're advertising their company event, like product and the incoming conference. So like even me, like I have no relevance to their work or something, but I know that there is a conference they're doing and like what they are doing for their product.
We don't even need to know what this company does. Let's just say about the brand awareness, guys. All of us do not know this company before this drama, and now we know about this company, right? Maybe we're not their target users, and that's why we don't use their product. But their target user might be interested, right? And that is a very smart PR, not only because the person that they choose for that PR emergency is also how the video is produced, right? So for all the questions, they are PR questions. They're like really spicy questions. But the person only answer what Astronomer as a company does, right? So she only explains what is our product, kind of like let everybody know what their company does. So that is really smart. But let's take one step back, right? People's attention and memory is limited. They move down the CEO. They remove the head of HR. It doesn't matter. When people's attention get passed, they can hire them back, right? But your company's attitude matters, and grabbing the attention matters. So you want to grab the attention first. No matter what you do after that, you want to get attention first and then convert. Two types of growth hacks, right? We just talk about it. How do people do growth these days? The first one is content-driven growth. Everyone is a content creator, and I've strongly suggest you guys to start your content channel as well. Okay, this is also what AI startup founders do. They want to build in open. And the second one, you probably have heard of it, community-driven growth. Right? A lot of companies like Perplexity does community, JJ Never Sleeps does community, right? Lululemon does community, right? Community is also a way for you to get insights from observing the community, right? Community cannot be too big because everybody has imposter syndrome, and communities should also have diversities as well. So people feel like they are living in a community with people who are similar to them, but also each other has some differences so they can learn from and feel excited about. And the third one is influencer-driven growth. Affiliate programs have been there for a long time. However, today, tech founders want to be influencers themselves. Right? This is not just started from this AI hype this time, right? Previously, we have Elon Musk as an influencer himself. Steve Jobs is kind of like that too. They are not like raised up by their company, right? They are influencers themselves and then give traffic to their company. And internal, what you can do to make your life easier, right? You develop the reputation of building trustworthy products. Guys, do not wait for your partner to ask you whether it is trustworthy. Tell them that you thought it through and you have plans. That is a very good way to build the relationship and build trust with your partner team. And build data pipeline and track high quality product. Yes, there will always be data that you cannot track or too difficult to track, but you want to make sure at least for the easy data or for the ones that could tell you the conversions of each stages of the funnel, it is there and high quality for you to track. Leverage AI to move faster. I think I previously told you guys about how we use AI coding at LinkedIn. Microsoft have 20% of code. Right now, it should be higher that are generated by LinkedIn, generated by AI. And even product managers, you can provide prototypes with AI coding software, right? Designers use AI to generate prototypes as well. So my engineer originally like a project with 2 weeks of LOE with the help of AI, we just ship it within 1 week, right? So this is leveraging AI to move even faster. And think more about why users say what they say in the user interviews. A lot of times, last time we talked about users lie a lot, and you want to understand why they are saying the stuff that they say, right? They want to impress you, they want to look good, they want to make your life easier, they want to make you happy. There are a lot of ways, right? There are a lot of reasons why users say what they say in the interviews. And for subscription, what are the features that are that actually work? You want to look at some of the research or data-driven research to tell you some signals. The first one is willingness to pay, right? For LinkedIn, you have how many? Like 50 premium features, right? If you really count. There are big ones, there are small ones. You want to make sure that you interview the users to see for each premium feature, how much money are they going to pay for it, right? Just having that feature, not having the whole premium subscription. How much do they want to pay for that single feature? And you have an understanding of out of all the features, what are the willingness to pay for different features, right? What are the reasons that they actually pay premium for? And you have a rough sizing of how many features usually for a user to adopt. And then you have an estimation or have a reference to your pricing as well, right? So that is the first one, willingness to pay from research. You can also do that from upsell testing, right? you can say that check who viewed your profile, subscribe premium. Or you could change the copy to check enhance your profile with premium, subscribe here, right? So you can see which value is the value that users would want to pay for. That is also a way from quantitative perspective to test what are the features that are actually working. This is acquisition though. This doesn't represent retention. The feature that users pay for doesn't necessarily to be the feature that users stay on premium for. So if you want to understand what are the free features that work for retention, you either, again, research the users on what are the reasons for them to stay, right? Or you could do retention experiments to see, but also like this is one caveat here is most of the feature that you build might have impact on multiple feature adoption, right? So here you want to have hundreds, even thousands of experiments to understand which features drive retention. And how to make sure that one feature will drive retention. There are 3 criteria. First, your feature has to be valuable, right? You have to solve the job to be done. You have to ease your users' pain. Second one, the feature has to be discoverable. You cannot just build a feature and users do not know about this, right? Go-to-market should be there, communication should be there, entry point should be there, right? And the third one is a feature is high frequency usage. If it is only a one-time usage, users are not going to stay on a subscription for it, right? Users are going to subscribe and then churn. You have to be a high frequency usage. If you can be daily, great. If you can be weekly, amazing, right? So you have to be high frequency. I do think all of you guys have a pretty good product positioning. But are the VCs going to invest in you is an unrelated question. Because VCs want ROI. They do not want the same thing as you do. You probably want 1 million users, right? Is 1 million users enough for the VCs to have a good ROI? Definitely not. So the VCs want different things. They want you to build the next billion-dollar company. They want different things as you. You probably want just a stable revenue stream for you to quit your current job, right? So what you want and what the VCs want might not be the same. It is not related to your traction, your value proposition. So having a positive revenue or having a valid business has nothing to do with whether you have VC funding. But let's say if your product already have thousands of users, your product have 100K users, right? And you have a positive revenue. Right now, you have some competitors out there, and you want to use VC money to scale your product and beat your competitors, go for it. So we're gonna continue working on your product demo. And last week we talked about PRD, but we didn't write a PRD, okay? So this time, write a PRD for your product and including how do you want to grow your product. Also add your product link to your PRD so I can relate to like each of them.